Am I the jerk for outing my cousin on her social media that she owes me $2,000 while she was posting about her success? My cousin Deborah, who is 33 years old, cost me, a 32-year-old male, $2,000 odd during our interstate holiday last year. She accidentally and recklessly slammed the door of our rental car into the neighboring parked car. The rental car was under my name, and consequently, I was liable for the excess payment. It has been over 8 months, and she has yet to pay me back. Deborah argued that the rental car was shared among all 7 cousins, and that accidents were a part of the risk of sharing a rental vehicle. Given that all the cousins had initially agreed to split the costs of the trip, she believed this $2,000 should also be split. Some of the cousins agreed, while others did not. I did not agree to split the costs of entirely avoidable and reckless mistakes. Since we could not come to an agreement, no one has paid me a cent. After a few months of hounding Deborah and largely getting ignored, she broke down in tears, claiming that she is financially struggling and can barely make ends meet. For context, Deborah is an accountant at one of our country's big accounting firms. She has to be earning at least $100,000 OD, so she is not struggling financially. She is just bad with her finances. I let it slide and honestly forgot about the $2,000 until last weekend. Deborah posted a photo of a Tiffany and Tio necklace with the caption "Hard work pays off." Success isn't easy, but it's shiny. I looked up the necklace. It costs $880 OD. I responded with, "If you were half as successful as you are pretending to be, you'd pay me back the $2,000 you owe me." Honestly, I was not thinking. I was just acting out of anger. But unexpectedly, people started reacting to my comment, leaving their own comments such as "Deb owes you money too." And I see Deb hasn't changed a bit. That was not my intent, but I would be lying if I said I did not find it funny. Deborah deleted her post several hours later, but has not said a word to me. However, she must have complained to the other cousins because 2 of our cousins reached out and said I went too far and that I should have kept the matter within the family. That is easy for them to say. They are not out $2,000. Before I let my anger get the better of me, am I the asshole or am I in the right here? To start, let's dismiss outright her silly claim that the cost of the damage she caused should be split among everyone who rented the car. Your cousin is a manipulator and is only crying because she got caught. Manipulators thrive in the keep it private culture because they will never be called out, and if they are, they play the victim. So yes, she owes you $2,000. Would I be the asshole if I left my grandma's wake for my partner's graduation? I, a 22-year-old female, just lost my grandmother yesterday. It has been very hard on me and my family, but we all are able to look at it in a positive light. I made my peace with the matter months ago, as she hadn't been doing well. I am happy with the time I spent with her and have no regrets about our relationship. My family is extremely tight-knit, and my grandparents were like second parents to me. When I lost my grandfather at 16, I grew up and became an emotional support for the family, especially my mother, which I recognize might not be the healthiest approach. I am working through that with my therapist. Yesterday I received the news, and my family made the wake and funeral plans while I was waiting to get coverage to leave work. They informed me when I got home that the wake is scheduled for this Tuesday, at a time that conflicts with my boyfriend's nursing school graduation. I said it was no problem. I would stay at the wake for as long as I could, about 2 of the 4 hours it is scheduled to run, and then leave for the ceremony. This means I will have been there to grieve with my family from the time I left work Thursday until the funeral brunch this coming Wednesday. I canceled all my shifts until then, except for the 2 hours of the wake and the night afterwards. I got the impression yesterday that this was fine with everyone. This morning, I woke up to talk to my mother, and she said that she thinks I should stay for the whole wake and leave afterwards to make it to the dinner after my partner's ceremony. She cited reasons such as thinking of my 17-year-old female cousin, who I am very close with and supported through her recent first breakup, and considering my middle or high school friends coming and me not being there. I couldn't think of anything to say, so I said I'd think about it. She said, "Well, I've said my piece," and I walked out. So far, I still want to go. My partner, a 23-year-old male, said he wouldn't be upset if I didn't come, but I realized that wouldn't change my decision at all. I want to be there for him regardless. We have become a part of each other's families, and part of that for me is splitting my dedication to my family and to him, even if that means making a sacrifice. Later, my mother sensed I was out of it, and when I said I still want to go, she just sighed and walked away. My aunt started saying the same things my mother said and finally added, "And your mother needs you too." I asked them, if it was my cousin's prom night, would you ask her not to go? My mother responded, "That is a family matter. Your boyfriend isn't family. The day is for the family to be together and grieve, and you have to think of your grandmother." My mother is not the, "you have to do what I say when you live under my roof" type at all, but I'm worried about creating a significant rift with her and my aunt. You behaved properly. Emotions are really strong right now for everyone, particularly your mom if this is her mom who has passed. Your boyfriend is part of your family now, so being there for his graduation is important to you. Grief is hard, and grieving people don't always have the best judgment. Am I the jerk for not going inside while tanning? I, a 23-year-old female, live in a basement suite with my 25-year-old husband. Our yard is actually our driveway plus about 5 feet by 20 feet of grass space. There is a shed placed there and a bunch of stuff from the upstairs tenants, so we basically have the driveway for a yard. Now, it is officially summer and I absolutely love to tan. Today was the first time I have been able to get outside to do so, as it was finally clear. I am not a tanaholic, but I like to reserve a day and go outside maybe 5 to 6 times and have a couple of hours worth of just chilling, drinking some wine, reading a book, listening to music, and taking my cat in the yard. My cat is blind and 14 years old. She just lays beside me and sniffs the dandelions. These days usually end with my husband joining me and a fire pit going strong. I just love the glow I get, and it makes me feel very happy when I come inside after a long day of photosynthesizing. I used to tan in the enclosed backyard where we lived before, but this house has an odd setup. I just moved our car forward and parked my tanning chair in front of it so that it is mostly blocked from the road view. I figured to be polite for the neighbors, I would not be in direct line of sight of the road. Basically anywhere I am in the fenced area, I am visible from the road. The only way I could not be is if I moved to the north side of the building, and it is all shade there. Here is where the problem comes in. My neighbor from across the way came over while I was outside earlier and just said, "Hello, will you be going inside anytime soon?" I told her I would not be, but asked what I could help her with since it was only noon. She responded by saying, "Well, my kids are about to come and play outside." I said, "Great. Want a pool? We have a little inflatable kiddie pool, great for tanning also." She said, "No, I want you to go inside. You are disturbing me." At this point, I knew exactly what was up, so I stood up and stood my ground. I told her that if she wanted me to go inside because I was going to be distracting her children, then maybe she should discuss a little discipline with the little perverts she was raising. She did not like that at all and started going off on me about decency and whatnot. I was wearing a classic bikini, nothing brash or trashy. I have trashy bikinis that I could have worn but chose not to. I have never talked to this woman, I have never seen her kids, and I have never interacted with her up until this point other than a quick wave while waiting to pull in. My husband came outside and also told her off until she finally flipped us off and went back inside. We stayed outside for an hour more. My mom called me and I told her about what happened. She said I should have just gone inside, but I really feel like I did not need to. I pay to live here and am trying to use the space as best as I can. I live in a basement and need all the sunlight I can get, but I do not know, am I the asshole? You are not to blame. You're doing something that almost everybody does during the summer, which is tanning, and it's on your own property. That woman is jealous and weird. You and your cat have every right to enjoy the sun, so keep doing it and ignore her. Am I the jerk for telling my mom and siblings they should learn to live with the consequences of their decisions? My family consists of my father, mother, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers. I am the oldest at 17 years old. My father was estranged from his own father since he was my age. His mother died when he was 10 years old, so we never knew our grandmother either. My father has been open about the fact that his father was not a very nice man, but he never went into details. I know he really did a number on my father because I still sometimes see my father look ashamed if he spills something or makes a mistake. I also know he tries to hold back anytime he cries and looks downright disgusted with himself for crying. 3 years ago, his father reached out. My mother and my 15-year-old sister were very excited and welcomed him into the family. My father said no way. He and my mother fought a lot about it. My siblings all told my father they had a right to know our grandfather and he should love his own father. I was dragged along at first, but then I stopped going. My father has refused to have any part in it. He and my mother fought because he told her his father was never going to step foot inside our house, and if he did, my father would leave and never come back. So my mother takes my siblings to see him. Christmas was a huge fight last year because they decided to spend it with this man, and my father and I refused to go. My siblings started crying to my father that they wanted Christmas with him. My mother called him selfish and tried to use her authority, but my father told her he is my father and I could stay with him if I wanted to. They're still upset about it, but then my father took me out for his birthday and didn't come home until late because he found out they were planning to take him to meet his father. My father told my mother and my siblings that since he cannot trust them with his birthday, he will only celebrate with people he can trust now. I also heard him tell my mother that this couldn't continue and they needed to divorce. Now my mother is freaking out because she doesn't want the divorce, and my siblings are really upset. They told me I should help since my father and I are still close. I told them they should learn to live with the consequences of their decisions. I pointed out to my mother that she was always big on us learning. I told them this is a big one. My mother told me my siblings are so young and don't deserve this. I told her it's all her fault because she undermined my father by demanding he come in front of my siblings, making them think they can manipulate him and not listen. Am I the asshole? It's really baffling why the mom would prioritize having grandpa around despite knowing how much it hurts her husband. Given the history of abuse and how deeply it affected the dad, it's hard to understand her reasoning. To make matters worse, grandpa is fully aware that his presence is causing major issues and he doesn't seem to care. You did nothing wrong here. This situation is incredibly unfair to the father, and it's no wonder he's so upset. Am I the jerk for calling myself an only child right in front of my stepbrother? My parents got divorced when I was around 5 years old. My mother had full custody of me, and she did get remarried, but my stepfather had no children. My father started dating when I was around 7 years old. My stepmother had 3 boys who were 17, 9, and 8 years old. The oldest had many issues with his mother, so he lived practically full-time with his father. The younger 2 also lived practically full-time at their father's house, while I split time pretty evenly between both my parents. I do not want to come across as mean or judgmental, but I hated being around them. They were not mean to me that much, but they were not the most kind children, if that makes sense. I know a lot of it was not their fault, and their parents' divorce was pretty hard on both, but they were without a doubt mean kids. They would fight with each other a lot, enough to land both in therapy over it. Both were bullies in school for a while and had some other mental problems. They could not really be trusted to share a room, so the older one got moved in with me. They are better now and kind of outgrew that phase, but as a child, I would not say I felt unsafe with them around, but I sure was not comfortable when they were around. I was recently playing an online game with a few friends in the living room and had my headset on. Most of my friends have never been over to my father's house and do not even know about my stepbrothers because they go to a different school. My older stepbrother was in the room with me, but he was doing homework or something. While we were talking, the subject of siblings came up and they asked me if I had any. I said no, and that I am an only child. It did not even cross my mind that he was in the living room with me, but he either did not care or did not hear me because he was still reading after I said that. I thought that was the end of it, but later one of my friends who has been over to my father's house texted me asking why I lied about being an only child. I told him that is just how I feel, and he said it is a bit weird to not even mention them. I do not think I did anything wrong. Am I the asshole? You are not the problem. It wasn't a lie, you just don't see them as siblings and aren't close to them. Family isn't set in stone, and it's perfectly okay to share your genuine feelings and experiences. At the end of the day, whatever feels right to you is valid, and nobody else gets to decide that for you. Am I the jerk for refusing to let my father-in-law watch football anymore? I, a 22-year-old female, have to get up at 7:00 a.m. to leave for work, and I work long hours, so I'm very tired at the end of the day. Recently, there was an international cricket tournament going on, and now there is a football cup that my husband and father-in-law, along with my father-in-law's caretaker, watch. I barely know about sports and am too busy to watch. The cricket cup would end by midnight, but the football one ends at around 4:00 a.m., which means all 3 men watch it on the television in my bedroom where I sleep. This is the only television where live football can be streamed, as it is fixed to the wall, and the other televisions are too old and don't support streaming and only have local regional channels. It was fine for a few days. We have in the past watched movies together, but that was like once every 6 months. This football tournament is going to last about a month, and every day it's becoming intolerable for me to have the lights and television on, with them cheering while I'm trying to sleep. My husband has very flexible working hours and works from home, so he can get up anytime he wants. My father-in-law is about 80 years old, retired, and a very lonely man since my mother-in-law died a couple of years ago. I don't like saying no to him because he is older than my grandfather, and I respect him a lot. However, him sitting in my bedroom until 2:40 a.m. is something I don't like anymore. I've tried to tell my husband several times how their presence affects my sleep, as I have to work 13 hours the next day. He just shrugs and says that his father will take offense if he asks him not to come, as watching football together has been a tradition for them. This led to me being very pissed off, and I am not talking to my husband anymore. He is now all sad and stuff. My friends and family have shown concern over this and asked me to talk to my father-in-law directly. I'm just afraid he might be hurt because he is a proud man and will take these things to heart, and he might end up not coming to my room at all. This is bad as he barely goes anywhere else, and most times we have to put in so much effort just to get him out of his own room, as he has lots of health problems and can't walk very far. So now I'm in a dilemma. Why not just put the TV in another room? Everyone wins. You can pick up a Roku streaming stick for around £30 sterling, and it will plug into any TV made in the last 22 years. Honestly, how is this even a situation? Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.